right, here we are. We, the people of Rhode Island.org, and we decided tonight there's so many people here that are upset about a current issue, the Wall Street buyout, that we would have a panel discussion. We got 4 people here, myself, Richard.
Adam.
Jay.
And Joe.
And we're going to discuss this Wall Street buyout. So let's get a few opinions first on what you think about it.
I think it's disgusting. It's we're trying to bail these companies out, and they're allowing the taxpayers' money to be wasted into these bailouts, and we didn't make these decisions. Our elected officials did.
Well, in all honesty, what really pisses me off is that it takes something of this magnitude to get people to realize that the economy's in shambles. For example, Wednesday when the Dow Industrial Average was at 10.7, I went into work, I punched in. On my way out, there was a pregnant woman and another older woman that worked at my school, and they were talking about how much money it's going to take to bail out AIG. And like I stopped dead in my tracks, I turned around, I walked up to them, and I was like, you know what the Dow Industrial Average is at right now? And they're like, no. And I said 10.7, and they both gasped and their jaws dropped. And as I walked away, I was like, you know, we're looking at a depression, ladies. It's right around the corner. And the pregnant woman, you know, looked me dead and square in the eyes and said, no, it's already here. And, you know, it sucks that it takes something like this for people to wake up, man. Like, the first episode of We the People at the Liberty Ball in Providence at the Living Room, I went on there and I said, I bet my boots by September 2008 the economy starts crumbling. It's September, it's 2008, and the economy is crumbling. Like, what the hell's wrong with people, man?
I'll back that for probably a year now. And I didn't come up with the information. It's this comes from, you know, some alternative financial experts that have been saying we can't go any further than October of 2008. I've been repeating that over and over and over again. It was almost shocking to even me. I was expecting this, but it all of a sudden it came along. Those women that you were talking to consider that they're in the extreme minority. Most people don't know, most people don't care, or that this is passed off as if it's a normal market dip. I see this as a lot more extreme than that. As far as what you were just saying about Joe, you were just saying this takes the people's tax money to bail out these companies. This is what I see this as. We know the first day, probably 4 days ago, that this began, probably Thursday or so. They ran $70 billion off the press of worthless money, paper coming off the press to bail out these companies. So in essence, it's not our tax dollars.
But we got to pay for it.
Well, we end
up
up paying for it in the end. We haven't paid for it yet. We're going to have to make up for empty money. But what did they just printing money like crazy? And the way it affects us most is because it devalues our dollar more. The more worthless money you create, and in essence, what they're doing after they create this money, they bail out. It was Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers. Now we're up for AIG, and now Washington Mutual is asking for money. What people aren't realizing is this is a socialist economic system. Once the Federal Reserve, which is a private bank, and this is a foreign entity, a conglomeration of world banks, they are now presenting paper money to bail these things out, which in essence, and trust me, they start a panel to get governmental control over these companies if the companies do get a bailout. So now you have governments in control of companies that were once financial pillars of the American economy. That's a socialist economy.
I agree.
When the government owns something. See, the Federal Reserve owns our government. Now the government is in control of these companies. What is that? Where's that going to leave us?
I totally agree. You know, Ron Paul was on CNN the other morning, and they're asking him, you know, what do you think? And he's like, you know, guys, I've been screaming this at you forever that you're inflating the crap out of the money. Printing $1 trillion out of thin air is not going to do any good for anybody. That's going to, like, think about how devalued our currency is now, and imagine how bad it's going to be $1 trillion later. You know, and what he said about it being socialist, he couldn't have said it any better. You know, Ron Paul made the statement that if we were truly capitalist, we would let these banks go under, because they're banks. They project these kind of things. They know these numbers were coming. Why are we bailing them out? Why are we giving the CEOs $40 million to leave a bankrupted company? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
That's what I was saying earlier. It's like, am I mistaken, or aren't these like the biggest bankers in the world? Now, these are guys that have spreadsheets that project. If you went to them and you're putting money in, they'll show you what it's worth 10 years from now, 40 years from now, 50 years from now. There is no surprise here. All these guys knew this was going to happen. So why is it all of a sudden such a sudden crisis right before we have a presidential election, where all of a sudden it's like somebody, they're making it look like they just woke up 5 days ago and said, oh my God, what is this? We have to fix this in 5 days. Why 5 days? What is this big rush? Because the public's attention right now has to be split, and the media's attention has to be split on the presidential election, so they can't dominate the news. And second of all, anytime anything corrupt goes through Congress, it always goes through in a hurry. And then you find out later what really happened. Now, to me, just before I left the House, I heard something on the news, something to this effect, that the federal, who's the money guy?
Ben Bernanke?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
One of those two. Okay, one of the actual texts of the clause that they put in this agreement was to the effect that their spending would have no oversight, and nothing that they do can be brought into the courts. What? You didn't hear this? This came out just earlier tonight, right? You heard it, right?
No, I did not. I did not.
They want no oversight and no lawsuits, not even criminal or civil, nothing. They want total immunity from anyone questioning any of their decisions, because, who knows the reason why, but...
Well, that makes you question, because, they're going to take up all this bad debt, and they're going to own all these houses. They're going to own all these mortgages. We talk about how George Bush made the biggest power grab of the executive branch, and what they're doing right now is making a giant power grab of the economy. Like, that's unbelievable. They not be brought to court over your actions. Like, what the hell are they going to do with this plan? It's insanity. Like, what?
Well, even, I was amazed to see that even congressmen were upset, because they've been sitting on this thing, and ignoring it. So it's like, even they're so shocked because they know that nobody's going to buy into this. But I'm suspecting that they're doing the lawyer trick, where you go in and you ask for 10 things, where you really only want to get one. Yeah. And so they're going to go in and ask for 10 things, and they'll end up with one. But the one that they get will really make it so they got all three, in the long run. By the time you get through with all the litigation and the this and the that, it'll end up they got all three, So I really think that this is probably, will go down in history as the most incredible week of history that this country has seen. I am so upset about this. I've asked to do this because I really think if I get up, I'm going to start screaming. I just want to go to Washington with a baseball bat right now. I really do. I want to go with a baseball bat and just start swinging. I mean, this is unreal, because I heard two guys on the news the other day. Thank God for Ron Paul's guy, because Ron Paul guy.
Thank God for Ron Paul.
For Ron Paul too. His financial advisor was on, and all the other financial advisors were saying to people, "Don't worry about your money. You're covered by the FDIC. You're up to, what is it, 100,000, whatever it is, Yeah. And so Ron Paul's guy spoke up and said, but the day they write this check, 20% comes off of that money, like right away because of inflation. The rest is going to be diminished by taxes and everything else. It's like people think that somehow this isn't going to hurt them. But it is. It's going to hurt every one of us, because we're going to have inflation. We're going to have more taxes because they're going to have to pay for it. There's going to be other effects, unemployment, loss of jobs, which we have to pay for. So they're trying to rush this all through right now so that we don't really see what's happening. And by the time it happens, the next president won't be able to change it. That's what I think.